Means and the Allston-Brighton District City Councilor. Today is Monday, May 15th. We are here from our great folks from the Department of Innovation and Technology. I'd like to remind folks that this hearing is both being broadcast live and recorded for later viewing on Comcast Channel 8 and RCN Channel 82. I'd ask folks in the chamber to silence any electronic devices. At the conclusion of the presentation from Docket and questions and answers from my colleagues, we will take public testimony. There are sign-in sheets to my left by the door. Please state your name, affiliation, and residence. We are here. The first portion of today's hearings with the folks from Docket has to do with a revolving fund, docket 0695. Message and order approving an appropriation for $4,400,000 from the income of the 21st Century Fund, also known as the Public Educational or Governmental Access and Cable Related Fund, in support of public educational and government access. I'd like to introduce my colleague, my good friend from Jamaica Plain, District City Councilor Matt O'Malley. At this point, let me hand it over to Mike Lynch for any opening remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Councilor O'Malley. This is the first time that this fund has come before the council. The council established the fund in August of 2016, and this is the first appropriation into the account. However, the funding that is being established here in this special fund has been around for just slightly over 30 years. As you know, it is directed support for BNN TV, a digital equity program called Tech Goes Home, as well as some engineering support for our city fiber network and some of the advocacy and auditing and regulatory services that we get around cable. Historically, the fund had been in one of the trusts, and it's now supporting access programming and our own network support. And it was established because of a state law change approximately 2 years ago, which directed that a special fund be established. At this time, I think a briefing memo on it has been provided to the councilor. In the interest of time, I'll rest with that. Okay. There are some people from both organizations that are funded through these dollars who would like to have a chance to make some comments today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have two letters, one from Boston Neighborhood Network as well as Tech Goes Home. So I'll make sure they get distributed to my colleagues. So the 21st Century Fund, where does that revenue come from again, Mike?
The revenue comes from the three cable franchises that the city of Boston has: Comcast, RCN, and now Verizon Fios.
And what is the typical revenue that would be coming in? And usually we will have a cap. Is there a cap on this revolving fund?
I'm not sure if there is a first time having seen a fund like this myself as well. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure that there is a cap on it. Approximately $4.5 million a year comes in. And the idea is that that money will come in, has already come in. It came in 2016, and it will be FY17, and it will be expended in FY18.
Right.
And then. Yeah.
And are these the two recipients solely, or are there other grantees?
For the bulk that are the two recipients, there are a couple of legal fees and auditing fees as well that are paid directly related to cable services, but that's a rather minor amount. The bulk of the funding goes to Boston Neighborhood Network TV, and additional funding goes to Tech Goes Home.
Right. At some point when we establish this, if you wouldn't mind sharing the revenue and expenses as they go out, maybe on a quarterly basis.
Be happy to do so.
Just to review that. And again, I think you explained this is part of the Department of Revenue's mandate to, you said earlier, trust fund was.
Yes, I think it was the The Municipal Reform Act of 2015 had this as one small component of it.
Right.
And the idea was, I think the Division of Local Services made a recommendation and said the better way to handle these funding is for it to come in, for the city to accept it, and then directly expend it that way. And later on, the Inspector General's office came in and said you should do that sort of as grant-related funding. And
Right.
that's the sort of disbursement methodology that we're taking now.
Gotcha.
We're a little early. I think the rest of the state will be coming in and doing this in the following year, but
Right.
since we were ready to go this year, we opted to continue to do
Right,
so.
great. And we have a number of other revolving funds associated with the police department, the fire department, BPS, et cetera, et cetera. So this is actually a great accounting method to track the fees and other revenue sources, but also the expenditures.
Very good.
Let me ask my colleague if he has any questions.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for all the work you do. I know we're going to get to your budget hearing shortly, but I'm more curious, Mike. Is this the first time the city has facilitated such a significant grant or significant revenue stream to BNN?
Actually, no, Counselor. It turns out it's the first time that we've done it in this manner, but we have always supported them to essentially this amount. I think this is pretty much level funding, maybe the 50th year of this, approximately the 50th year of this level of funding.
And I would assume that's a significant percentage of BNN's total budget,
Yes.
if not
Yes,
all of
Counselor,
it.
you're
No,
right.
and BNN is a terrific resource, and I think, quite frankly, one of the better run public access stations in the country. I think it's really Curtis. I know he's retiring. I'm saddened to hear, but he does an amazing work. And then, so the $4.5 million comes from Comcast, RCN, and Verizon, and that's, I assume, split up by their share of the market. So Comcast is paying the vast
That's
majority.
right. It comes into the city as a percentage of gross revenue.
Okay, and do we, the satellite TV companies don't pay into this?
No, the satellite companies have never been obligated to make this funding, and they also don't present the channels for the cable.
Fair enough. Okay. So that my next question would be, why don't we look at some of the streaming services and the new ways that people are watching TV? But that's an interesting point. If they don't offer BNN, then they would make the case they're not obligated to help pay for it. Well, terrific. I think I don't know Tech Goes Home as well. I know people think very, very fondly of it. Seems to do some great work, but obviously any support that we can help funnel through the city to BNN is a worthwhile endeavor. So that's all I have. Thank you, Mr.
Great.
Chairman.
And just one final question. Could you give us kind of a status report on the FiOS implementation?
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. I have a few remarks prepared for our budget hearing on that topic, but the initial cable franchise was granted in December of last year, and that was the final regulatory piece necessary for Verizon to begin offering cable television service for sale in Boston. That franchise applies to their initial service area, which consists of West Roxbury, Dorchester, and the Dudley Square area of Roxbury. Verizon has begun installation work in all of those areas. They actually began a lot of the construction work prior to issuing the franchise in anticipation of that, and they have now offered service for tens of thousands of households in those neighborhoods. I don't have an exact count from them that is up to date, but they are continuing to build at a pretty rapid clip. And we are seeing certainly interest in the market, and anecdotally hearing from constituents that they're seeing quite a bit of competition between Verizon and Comcast for their business. So that continues to meet our expectations for the pace of build out, and we're excited to see Verizon in the future expand to incorporate more of the city in their service area.
In those areas, they don't have RCN as well, or do they?
I think that some of those areas have pockets of RCN. RCN's footprint throughout the city is non-contiguous, and
Right.
there are places in which you have 3 or 4 square blocks that have RCN service, and then nothing for a half mile, and then service is available. So I think there is some overlap. It would not be incorrect to say that there are probably now people in Boston who have 3 choices. Hopefully
Right.
that will be a
Right.
larger share of the public.
That's absolutely a goal, I'm sure. And are you seeing any anecdotal decreases in pricing and especially in those areas where they're actually online.
Yeah, I mean, it's very tough to get accurate information about pricing because so much of the pricing is done as special offers that are
Right.
only made available
Expire
to
in a
people.
month.
Yeah, right, exactly. So it's tough to know, but we are certainly hearing anecdotally from people that they're seeing very aggressive retention on the part of the incumbent providers, offering of special rates and packages, and that they're seeing aggressive promotional pricing from Verizon, the new entrant. We're also seeing continued build out of investment in the actual infrastructure. Verizon recently announced that they'll be offering gigabit speed services here in Boston. And we've seen Comcast begin to roll out higher speeds in other parts of the country, and we would expect that those will come to Boston as well as a way for them to help maintain their competitive position.
Great. Well, thank you all for this testimony. I'm going to adjourn this hearing as it pertains to docket 0695, the message and order approving appropriation for $4,400,000 from the income of the 21st Century Fund, also known as Public Educational or Governmental Access and Cable Related Fund. This hearing is adjourned.
Thank you, Counselor.